You're listening to The Knowledge Spot, your number one resource for sharing information that promotes success, personal development, and happiness. I'm your host, Jared Cherry, and my goal is to shed a light on the strategies, mindsets, and routines that have led to each of my guests' individual success. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to listen, and I hope you enjoy what we have in store. Hey everyone, thank you for listening to this episode of The Knowledge Spot. Today I've got Casey Cooper in with me, and if you haven't heard of Casey Cooper yet, all you got to do, go to youtube.com, type in anything with the word drum, and then look from page 1 to 5, and I'm sure he'll be there somewhere. Just to give people a little background info on Casey, so obviously he's a drummer. I've been following your videos, Casey. I want to say like 2011 or 2012 is when I first made note of you, and it's been really amazing to see your growth since then.
Thank you. Yeah, that's incredible. That's pretty close to the beginning.
Yeah. I remember you were doing like gaming and stuff at first too. It wasn't even just drums.
Yeah, I did multiple styles of video and have just goofed around with a lot of different things that I love.
And again, like I said, it's been really amazing to watch you because you're clearly, I would say, one of the defining features of your drumming is the energy you bring to it, and that to me that proves like there's a passion behind it.
Oh, definitely. That is what I would say I attribute a lot of my success to, is just the way that I play and the entertainment factor and everything that I bring to it.
Yeah, it's funny too because I'm a drummer myself, and the way you play is the way multiple teachers have warned me not to play many times about, these high energy performances. And then when I watch you play, I go, first of all, clearly you have the energy to support that high level of intensity. But secondly, you add an entertainment factor to it. It's almost like you're doing a dance while you're playing the drums.
Yeah. I definitely feel that. And it is funny because I get a lot of, I guess, negative responses from people who have like been through teachers that told them not to do what I do or things of that nature. And what I always say is that it's not that I don't know how to do it the way that other people are taught to do it. It's the fact that I have created my own way of doing it. And it's not that I think my way is better. In fact, I don't tell people, hey, learn to play drums the way that I play drums first. Right. I think that it's just, you need to learn the proper technique, the proper way of doing things, and then feel out how it is that works best for you and what it is that you enjoy doing. Because I play drums the way I do because that's how I love to play drums. I don't play drums the way I do because it's the easiest way or it's the best way or it makes the most sense. I do it because I personally enjoy it the most, and people enjoy watching it and enjoy watching me play the way that I do play. And so I definitely don't sit down at the end of the day and go, man, I know better than everyone. My technique is what should happen. Like, no, that's not what it is. It's what makes me happy. And it's a good combination of proper technique built into a more showman energies kind of style.
Yeah, you hit the nail with the hammer right there. That's exactly it. It's where when I watch you play, it's not like an ignorance when it comes to technique or what people would play quote unquote proper style, right? It's more of you found what works for you, and boy does it work well. As opposed to, you'll come across a lot of self-taught drummers, or it doesn't matter what, someone self-taught in anything who the only reason they're self-taught is maybe they have a little bit of natural talent, and quite frankly they become lazy and rely on that talent. And the difference there is that these people are ignorant of the knowledge that would help them play things a little more efficiently or perhaps better in certain ways. Whereas you're quite aware of this juxtaposition. You just choose to play your own way for your own reasons.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been a long learning process. And I mean, I still work every day to hone it and to change it and to figure out what it is that works better and I enjoy more. And so it's also it boils down to, with my position as an educator, my position as someone who has a following, so incredibly to have these people that watch my videos and enjoy what I do, that kind of look to me for advice or look to me for teaching. I continually adjust the way that I post things, the way that I show my playing, and I try and really encourage people and educate people in the best ways without necessarily, I definitely don't try to only promote the way that I play. I'm always talking about other drummers. I'm always showing off other ways to play. There's videos where like I'll be playing like piano dynamic the entire time because that's what this calls for. And I try and put some just informational stuff at the beginnings of some of the videos that are like, hey, this is a different environment. Notice how I'm playing differently.
Mm,
This is a YouTube video. Notice how I'm going all out because it's a visual medium. It's not like I don't play the same way in the studio that I play on YouTube because you can't do that. Like YouTube is all about the visual side of things. The studio is all about being extremely precise and every note coming out a certain way. I still oftentimes am asked to play in a similar fashion because the way that I play has it has a sound to it. It has an aggression to it, and a lot of people want that on their records. But at the same time, it's still toned back. Like I'm not doing stick tricks while I'm recording in the studio.
right. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. I think it's extremely important as for any kind of entertainer to understand um, the required traits of adaptation depending on the venue. It doesn't have to be music; it can be anything. Depending on your audience, the venue, the sound of the room, all these things are going to matter so much, and you have to be willing to adapt to that certain expectation.
Yes, definitely.
And I actually want to take this, Casey, from the drum podcast. I want to bring this over to the YouTube side of things because, like I said, I remember watching you when you first started, and there's definitely a talent there and a love for drums. And it's been amazing to me how much your channel has blown up since then.
Yes.
And again, to give some listeners some perspective, I think how many subs are we at now?
Just past 750,000.
Oh my God, congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's been amazing, man. Because like I said, your beginnings were pretty humble, and now you've got to be one of the biggest drummers on YouTube with those kind of numbers.
In terms of overall numbers, I am the per month I get the most subscribers and most views. I get a little over 6 million views a month, and usually a little over 25,000 subscribers a month. And those are the highest for any drummer. In terms of the overall numbers, I am the number two most subscribed. I'm still behind Maytal Cohen for a little bit longer. I mean, who knows what'll happen, but. I mean, I'm definitely, if I continue growing at the rate I am, it's about double the numbers of what she gets. And so eventually I will pass into the number one most subscribed drummer on YouTube. Not that it's about the numbers, but it is a little cool thing. It's a little like, like a reward for all the hard work and for everything that goes into it. But, and then for overall views, I believe I'm the number two most viewed drummer behind Kobus Polchieta, or how I don't know how
I
to
don't know
say
how to
his
say
last
it
name,
either.
but he's such a cool dude. I love that guy.
Yeah, he is awesome, and those numbers are just amazing. Like you said, it's not that it's about the numbers. The reason I'm bringing this up is that a lot of the listeners are looking at YouTube as a venue for business opportunities, and at the same time, a lot of my listeners actually come from an age generation a little bit older, where they didn't grow up using YouTube, and maybe they don't use it that often now, and they don't actually realize what kind of revenue, business opportunity, advertisements, all these kind of things come out of YouTube. And I'm hoping you could shed a little bit of light on that too, especially that older generation when they're gonna have their own kids, let's say, or maybe their teachers, and they know these kids they're teaching who say, "I'm gonna become a YouTube celebrity," and they're rolling their eyes, right? They don't quite understand what this whole YouTube, Twitch TV, everything's going on. And you obviously don't have to go in specifics here, but could you give my listeners of that generation a little bit of perspective of what it means to be a YouTube celebrity?
Oh, of course. I love talking about this, and actually have a lot of business ventures that kind of go into the side of things. I've done some creative directing where I'm being paid to uh, help other people produce content. I've done some YouTube marketing and optimization where I come in and I show people how to better prepare themselves and their channels and what they do to be more successful on YouTube. And so for me, and for just a quick explanation of this kind of concept is that YouTube is YouTube and social media in general. They are basically free opportunity to become famous and to put yourself out there. And like, it's not easy by no means. In fact, in some ways it can be harder than the old school route of becoming a musician or things of that nature. Now, some people will argue that, but at the same time, like, you know, if you are in a band and you put out a song that got big, you get a record label to sign you, and then all of a sudden they're paying for everything. They're sending you around to do shows and stuff. With YouTube, if you're trying to own all of your stuff and you're trying to hold on to all of that and not owe money to a record label, it can be a lot of work in order to become successful to a certain degree. Or you can get lucky overnight and have some viral videos. But in terms of what YouTube can do for you, it is the ultimate form of media because it's free for the viewer. Like, you can sell a CD or a movie and people have to buy it in order to give you success. On YouTube, it's legitimately like you just produce content and people get to watch it for free, and so it doesn't cost them anything besides, of course, internet access.
Right.
But I mean, you can find that for free too. Like the worst case scenario is they have to watch an ad before they see your video. It's like for someone, that's the ultimate form of entertainment. It's free and it's accessible from anywhere at any time for the most part, and so that right there is basically like saying, hey guys, I'm a band and I'm going to have a concert and all of you can come to it all the time whenever you want and it's free. Like, I mean, it's not exactly the same as a concert because it's not like you don't feel the subwoofers in your face unless you have nice subwoofers at your house. But at the end of the day, it is you and access to what you do for free. And so people take advantage of it. I mean, that's why I have over 750,000 subscribers, is because they don't have to pay to be a subscriber. Now, some of them would, and you definitely take your success on YouTube or your success on social media and transform it into revenue, which there are tons of ways to do that. But it's not necessarily easy per se. It's just like another venue, another way of doing it. And so from that, it's really about where you go with it. And because of YouTube and because of your audience, like because of the audience that I have, you build an audience and then people want to access that audience. And so that's where you have that ability to do custom advertisements. You have the ability to do partnerships. You have the ability to get endorsements, and all of those things through this because you have an audience.
Exactly. And that audience is catered specifically to you. When the old days of, being on network television, your audience is really they're not necessarily just interested in you. This is an audience that's already been captured by a channel maybe, or specific commercials that come on this. Whereas with YouTube, your page is Cooper Drummer, but it's really you. It's just you. There's nothing else to it, right? If you're clicking on that page, you're either A, fan of the drumming, or B, a fan of Casey Cooper, or C, maybe both, right? And
Right.
that's a huge advantage when you can just be yourself all the time.
Yeah, and that's another thing that people love about social media and love about YouTube is that access to you that you can't get through something else. Like, people get to delve into my personal life on a level that you don't get to delve into in some big rock stars' lives. Like, you don't get to see a day in the life of like Katy Perry per se.
Right.
Like, you could. I mean, she may post that because if she's smart about social media and smart about that, then her managers and the people working with her are going to do that. But from a YouTuber perspective, people get to follow the people that they like and enjoy, and they get to follow them way more closely than you could a movie star from 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Like, it's like I have direct access. Like, people saw some of the most personal moments of my life that I post on social media or I post on YouTube because I want them to see my life from my perspective. Like, what it is that I try and do is I try and show people my life as a drummer. That's what it boils down to for me. at the end of the day, a big thing about it is I'm not some movie star who's unattainable or who's impossible to reach. Like, you can tweet at me and I'll tweet right back. I mean,
Right.
I can't respond to every tweet. I can't respond to every message, but I try to do everything that I can to be someone like that they can relate to, and someone that they can talk to and actually interact with. Because at the end of the day, like, no matter the numbers, I'm still just a dude who loves to play the drums. Like, the day that I think I'm anything more important or better than that is the day that I feel I failed as what I am, because the only reason I'm here is from the support of my audience, the support of the people who watch what I do. I'm just one of them, except I have a lot of like YouTube views. Like, I'm not any different. I'm the same person. So that's another really cool thing about YouTube, is that access, that ability to get to the person and follow the person on a more personal level.
I agree completely, and I love that humbleness you bring to it. Where, I mean, as much as you want to say it, the fact is you're quite an accomplished drummer, and there's a reason why people follow your stuff. And I'm interested in how you brought up that one of the advantages with YouTube and social media in general, or really the internet and an uncensored avenue for content, is that you get to see you as yourself, the day in the life of Casey Cooper, the drummer, blah 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 blah. And it kind of harps back to the early 2000s when reality TV is just kicking off the ground, and we're actually getting, at that point in time, real reality TV. This wasn't scripted stuff. At least some of it wasn't, right? And
Right.
the issue I can imagine a lot of my listeners are having when they hear this kind of thing is they go, "I'm not Casey Cooper. I'm not this amazing drummer. Who the hell's gonna want to watch the day in the life of Bob Smith, your friendly neighborhood carpenter, right? You know what I mean? That's where do you draw the line between maybe I shouldn't release this because it's kind of empty, and B, I'll just release it anyways because people want to hear that empty content.
From my perspective or from a viewer's perspective?
Could we get both actually?
Okay, well, from my perspective, I am conscious of what I release. I mean, I guess to a certain degree, the goal is to make your life
Oh,
as cool
sorry,
as possible.
you're just cutting out a
Go ahead.
bit, Casey. Can you repeat that again?
Yeah, I can repeat it again. From my perspective, I guess the goal is to make my as interesting and as cool to watch as possible, because like every single day isn't the level of interesting that maybe my day in the life video is. By no means am I like literally behind a drum set for 23 hours a day and always like performing in front of cool people and doing things of that nature. Like, today, every day is incredibly like the most insane playing with fire drumming kind of stuff. But from what you do, I choose what I share. I don't share every single performance I've ever done, but I do try and, show people that it's not always the craziest stuff. Like, some days I play drums in front of 20 people, and I've posted some videos where I do that, because that's the thing that I think can allow people to enjoy it, is that they can relate to it. It's not, I don't try and make myself out to be the coolest person on the possible planet at all times. Like,
Right.
I just try and show, like, hey, this time I did get to play in front of 50 million people on television at the Macy's parade, and this was a really, really insanely cool experience for myself. But then the next week I post a video where I played in front of 100 people at a small gig, just playing some songs with some friends. And so that's what I would say from like their perspective, like the viewer's perspective, kind of considering like, why would someone want to watch what I do? Well, someone might want to watch what you do because they are in a similar position, or they can relate to it. Like, you asked, why would someone want to watch Bob the Carpenter? Well, if Bob the Carpenter creates something pretty cool, or like puts together a video that shows something from a new perspective that is either relatable or is interesting. Like, I don't do carpeting, but sometimes I watch carpeting videos because I think it's really cool what people can do that I can't. And I think that's another part, is it's either relatable or it's like educational or inspirational.
Exactly. It's kind of we need to when I said empty content, I threw that out there full well knowing that things that many people might consider to be empty or useless that's someone else's treasure, right? It's like the old saying, someone's
Right.
trash, someone else's treasure. So you never know in that case. What I find really interesting is that what you're saying reminds me a lot of when I had Dick Graffini on the podcast, the host of the Drummer's Resource,
Oh yeah.
and he spoke about when he's releasing content, the number one most important question to him is this content going to be of value for someone out there? For
Yeah.
anyone out there other than himself? Am I just putting it out there so that, my subscriber count goes up and I get whatever these ad money comes in, blah 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 blah? Or is there someone out there in the world who's going to watch this video and benefit from maybe not a drumming point of view, but like you said, maybe they can relate to, oh, this guy spends time with his girlfriend too, and they just go to Starbucks. You know what I mean? Like there's someone out there relating to it somehow.
Yeah, and that's a big thing is that if you take a look at my channel, just because I get over 6 million views a month doesn't mean that every single video is watched by every single subscriber. I try and put out content that is constantly relevant to some people, but maybe not all people. Not every person is going to like every single drum cover I put out because they might not like the band or the song. Not every single person is going to watch me playing with an orchestra because maybe they don't want to see me play with an orchestra, but then they might tune in the next day where I'm performing with a rock band, or they might tune in the next day where I'm doing a behind the scenes video or going up to Drumeo. Like I'm going up to Drumeo in a few days back to Vancouver to shoot more videos with them, and I'm going to do a behind the scenes video again. I'll show my time hanging out with Jared Falk, one of the coolest and most awesome drummers that does internet YouTube stuff.
Who
Like
is
it's
also coming on the podcast next week. Spoilers.
really
Yeah.
so he's coming on the podcast while I'm out there.
Well, I'll be recording his episode tomorrow actually, but
Oh,
I'm either
okay.
going to be launching him next week. It's not set in stone yet, but yeah, spoiler alert.
That's hilarious because yeah, I'm actually gonna be there on Sunday.
Awesome.
Yeah, sorry, we can go back to the
No
conversation.
worries. Yeah. No, it's the Drumeo stuff is I'm really Jared to me he reminds me a lot of yourself because when I've been on YouTube since it launched, so whatever 2005, and I was a drum nerd back then, and all I was looking on YouTube was drumming videos, right? Either that or some kind of gaming thing. And
Yeah,
Jared Falk, his stuff was on there. I can't even remember I think he was called like freedrumlessons.com at the time.
yeah,
And
that's what.
it's been really cool to see both him. He started a little earlier than you, obviously, but both of you kind of had this you kind of mentioned before that there's sometimes with YouTube or with anything really, anything celebrity is you get this kind of viral hit kind of spike and boom. You like Ty Sunday and Chocolate Rain, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
But with you two, it seemed to me like it was more of this gradual building, like this
mhm,
grind work.
definitely. I mean, the amount of videos and content that Drumeo puts out, and the amount of videos and content that I put out, definitely promote that grind. One thing that I always say is that so many people are like quality over quantity. Well, I say quality and quantity because
Mm,
my goal when I started my YouTube channel was to flood the market. I wanted to make sure no matter where you were looking, you were finding my videos. And that's why now, if you search drum cover on YouTube, most of the time, out of like 2 million, 2.5 million results, the first page of drum covers has 10 to 12 of my videos out of the top 20. And
just
it's
put
not,
drums. Just put
yeah,
drums, I'm telling you.
yeah, you can put that in there, and my videos pop up with all sorts of different searches, all sorts of different content. Same thing with Drumeo. They've got so many incredible drummers on there, so many incredible people playing and coming on and teaching that they have cornered the market on drum lessons because they have hundreds and hundreds of videos, and it's hard not to find their drum lessons when you're looking for something.
You bring a very interesting point up where essentially how I understand this strategy is basically an attempt to monopolize a market. It's to
Yes.
overwhelm it, right? And
Yep.
then what advice do you have for let's say they're not drummers, so they're not your competition. How about really good trumpet players who they're not on YouTube yet, but they feel that their content is of quality to compete with someone who has taken advantage of YouTube, which was a relatively new venue for success at one point, and now has that kind of monopoly you're talking about. How can a competitor successfully approach them?
Well, that is an interesting thing. The first thing I would say is don't expect it to happen overnight. That's one of the things that so many people come to me. They're like, "Hey, man, I started putting out videos last month, and I'm not famous yet." And I'm like, "That's funny, because you look at my page and you think just because it's big that it happened overnight. Like, it took 8 months to get to the first 10,000 subscribers, which was really hardcore grinding. I was posting a video every single day.
Wow.
Um, not for the entirety of 8 months, but for a while I was posting a new video every day, and then." It took a year after that to get to 50,000. And so now I get 50,000 every month, month and a half, 2 months, something
Wow.
like that. But it's like that's the kind of time it takes to grind out something like that. And that was before. Like, it may take even longer now. But in terms of actual advice, what it boils down to is being ahead of the game. This is something that I don't do anymore. Well, I try to do when I have the opportunity, but I used to be the first person to post a cover of the most popular song coming out every single time. I was always attempted to be the first person to do a song. There were days where a song would come out in the morning. I would have it covered, edited, and uploaded 4 or 5 hours after the song came out. And
Wow.
because it was quality content, it wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't as good as it is now in terms of recording quality and video quality and stuff. But
Right.
because it was good and because it was first, it instantly rose to the top of the search results, and then it instantly became the go-to video. And so people who posted after me had to compete with my video. And if they weren't as good quality, or if they weren't as good in the playing, then they of course weren't going to succeed. And then even if they were, I was first, so it was hard for them to compete with me, because I already have those views. And now, because of the audience that I have, I post a video and it automatically gets like 20 or 30,000 hits usually for the first couple of days. And so that boosts it up past everyone's video anyway, so I don't have to do the first thing anymore. But
Right.
that is really the key to success, is either A, coming up with something that no one's done before, or B, doing it first. Because here's the deal. If you are doing something that someone else has already done, if you don't do it way better than them, or if you don't do it before them, well, since they've already done it, you can't do it before them. But if you don't do it way better than them, or in a really creative new way, then you're just copying something. Like,
Hmm.
you're not able to bring anything new to the table, and so you're not able to push the boundary. Um, and for me, like, that's what I always tell people is like, hey, if you're going to do the same thing someone's already done, you're not going to really succeed very well. Like, a lot of times, even if you're first, but you're not as good as something else, you're still first, and so that gets the opportunity before someone else does, and oftentimes first succeeds. It may not be the best. Now, I'm not saying that you can put up terrible content just to get it out first. Like,
Right.
people are going to be like, boo, like, sorry, it's not that interesting. Because that's happened before. People started trying to compete with me to get videos out first, and they weren't as good. And so, by no means am I saying that I have the best content, but like, if it's not recorded very well and the audio is not interesting to listen to because it's just a camera quality video of drumming, like, that's gonna set you back no matter how good you are as a drummer. And so that's really what it takes. And by being creative or being new, if you take a look at my videos, there are so many videos of mine that, like, are ideas that people don't do. They're things that people haven't done. They're things that people don't really do. Like, when I started out, I jumped all over the dubstep drumming train. I saw a couple of people do it before I had done it, and then I just hit it so hard. I had like every single big name Skrillex song covered.
Right.
I did like so much dubstep drumming. So when you search for dubstep drumming, you found me. You wouldn't search for drums and find me because I wasn't big yet. But you
Right.
search for dubstep drumming and you found me. And I did it in new ways with cool audio. And now it's like the fire drumming, or the water drumming, or like there's one where I even play drums with a basketball. There's different performance styles, there's different titles, and an interest that spreads me out all over the table in terms of content, that I'm always trying to push the boundary a little bit further and just show people like, hey, you know, why not do something cool? Why not do something creative? Like, you don't have to do what everyone else has done, because you're not going to be a better them than they are. Because I hear a lot of people like say like, I want to be kind of like this guy on YouTube. It's like, that's a bad, really, really bad idea to try and be like someone else, because they've already done it and they're already successful at it, and you're not going to be a better them than you are going to be you. Like, you have to be who you are, and you have to show people that and have people be interested and enjoy what you do, or else you're not really going to be able to find the same success.
Exactly, and it's almost it's like a what's the word I'm looking for? It sucks and it's cool at the same time, because what you're saying is actually, it reminds me of, I read a book, it was called The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing by Jim Rohn, whoever the guy he always writes marketing books with. And the very
You there?
first rule he talks about is the rule of first. And what they claim is that if you are first in the market with a product that is at least somewhat competent, you are most likely to succeed. Whereas our society is kind of, in North America, we're kind of taught, like you said, quality over quantity, and people kind of overvalue the importance of quality. And obviously, you need a quality product, but if you think that because you are the best drummer in the world, bar none, that you're going to beat Casey Cooper and YouTube subscribers, it just doesn't work that way. That's not how marketing has proven. That being said, so what I said, that's probably really depressing for all these drummers who they want to do what you're doing in a sense. And you're right when you say that they're approaching it the wrong way. If they go, I want to be Casey Cooper, I want to make videos where I play with flaming sticks and I'm in a marching band, but I'm on a drum kit. That's the wrong mindset. But you can approach it as, I want to be a guy who plays drums, because that's whatever, anyone can do that. But I want to be me. I want to do things that I find cool. I want to do things that I find exciting, and find your niche that way.
Exactly. Because, and what you just said about being the best drummer in the world and still not being able to compete with.
You're cutting out again, Casey. Can't hear you right now if you're talking. I apologize, listeners, for the audio issues. He's calling me from a car, so there might be some connection issues every now and then. You hear us now, Casey?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Now we hear you. It's just a little fuzzy.
Uh-oh. Okay.
You're good now. You're good.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so what I was saying is that it's sad to me what you just said in terms of you could be the best drummer in the world and you can't compete with me on YouTube, because I mean that's really, it's an upsetting thing in terms of, like, these guys have practiced for so long and are so good at their craft, because that's something I say all the time is like, hey, I am not by no means the best drummer on the planet, because for some reason some people think that, like, just because I have big numbers and stuff, that I think I'm, like, really, really just insane on the drums and people can't touch me and stuff. But that's not the case. I understand that I am not the best drummer on the planet. But the thing is that you have to have something about you that sparks interest, and it's not just the skills. Because here's another important thing about the way that I do what I do, and it's, I try to appeal not just to drummers, but I try to appeal to everyone. And the thing about the best drummer on the planet is that no matter how good you are, people who don't play drums can only understand a certain degree of what you do. Like, anybody watching Tony Royster Jr., who I think is one of the most talented players on the planet, they don't necessarily understand what he's doing. They just understand that he's fast. And right. I can play drums fast. I may not be able to play the same rudiments that Tony Royster can play at the speed that he can play them. But when someone sees me playing drums next to Tony Royster playing drums, who doesn't understand the actual, like, complete concepts behind drumming, they just see, like, wow, both of these guys are really fast. Like, both of these guys are all over the place. It's like...
Sorry to interrupt. Go on. No, go on. Sorry.
No, that's something that you have to consider, is that it's not just about skills. It's about a whole level past that. And that's the reason I have the success I have. It's not because I think I'm the best, or I am the best, or people think I'm the best. Like, there's some drummers out there who do in their heads consider me the best drummer. I think more so their favorite drummer, and they just equate that to best. But that's not the case. Like, what I have to bring to the market and what each of you has to bring to the market is your own level of interest and creativity and concepts and stuff that people will buy into, that is not necessarily just technical skill. Like, if I didn't play drums the way I played drums and I just like sat there and like did what I played, but did it in such a kind of like chill way, I wouldn't have the following I do, because it's all about that entertainment factor. And just because you're good at playing doesn't mean you're entertaining at playing. Some of the best drummers in the world I've watched, and as a drummer, I still don't find them that entertaining to watch, because they play in a very chill way. It's not bad by any means, it's just not as entertaining. And YouTube is an entertainment factor. It is not a technical factor. If you're teaching lessons on how to be the best, then maybe that technicality side can push you past someone like myself. But if you're trying to entertain people, you have to be entertaining.
Exactly. And not only do you have to be entertaining, because we can take this beyond YouTube, we could take this to someone who's just trying to start an online website for the sake of selling a product or whatever. So they're not necessarily trying to entertain anyone. We have a show in Canada called Dragon's Den, and basically it's a ripoff of Shark's Tank in the States. I don't know if
Yeah,
you've heard of that show, right? So they
love
get
that.
these big businessmen and women, and people pitch them ideas. And one of my favorite entrepreneurs on that show ever was a guy called Brett Wilson. I don't think he's on the show anymore. And he said something that I found fascinating, where he goes, anyone who wants to basically sell themselves, and I don't mean that in a whorish way, obviously. I mean that in,
Yeah.
you have a product that you want to sell and you're not working for a company necessarily, so you're working for yourself. Then you have to work on two things: the thing you want to sell. So in your case, it's your drumming skill is absolutely important no matter what. Like you said, if those first videos that you released, even though they were first, if they sucked, you would have hit a peak quite quickly. So your product itself has to be good no matter what. It doesn't have to be the best, it has to be good. But according to Brett Wilson, every single person in that kind of position where they're trying to sell themselves also needs to learn the skill of marketing. And that is
Yes.
a completely different realm than a technical skill. It's its own skill in its own right, really.
Oh, definitely. I would not be where I am today. Like, I almost say, like, when people ask me what I do, I tell them I'm a drummer, and that is true. I am a drummer. I would not be where I am if I wasn't a drummer. But I also would not be where I am if I wasn't a businessman and a um, just someone who loves creativity and marketing and just that whole side of things, because that is even more so a part of what we do than just playing. Because if it was just playing drums, then I mean, I would say what I do would be a lot easier if it was just about drumming, but it's about marketing, it's about editing, it's about posting, it's about optimization, it's about creating videos that are interesting to people and optimizing their tags, titles, and descriptions, and gaming YouTube's algorithms so that I jump higher up in the results, and all of that stuff that help take you to where it is that you want to go in it.
And I think it's important to mention that a lot of people, they hear these things, you're talking about algorithms and this and that, and a lot of people are going, I don't like any of this stuff. And if you're just that guy or girl who is an amazing drummer and that's what you do, then do it, because that's gonna hit the niche that you want to hit, in my opinion anyways. I think if you be yourself in that case and you're not interested in the marketing side of things, then don't fake it, because people will know you won't do it right, first of all, and if you do it right, it's going to waste a lot of your time and it's going to be suboptimal, I would expect, and people are going to see that it's not you being you.
Yes, definitely.
And so what I'm wondering then is, for these people who you're telling them, like we just said now, that the real key here is be yourself essentially on YouTube. Don't try to copy someone. Unless yourself is, unless you're a drummer and you want to drum like Casey, that's fine, obviously, but bring your own twists and turns to it. What about people who, they're sitting there going, I don't even know like what's special about me. I don't even know what I do different than him. Or like, how would you advise men or women who they just don't know enough about themselves to find that certain spark that they have over everyone else?
Well, that's actually, as complicated as that question seems. It's actually one of the easiest questions that we've had so far, and the answer to that is you love what you do? Are you having fun? Is this your favorite place on the planet? Because when I sit behind a drum set and I do what I do and I play the way that I play, I'm having the most fun of my entire life. Like, I mean, there are very few situations that are more entertaining and amazing and fun for me than sitting behind a drum set and playing drums the way that I play drums. And that is what it is for you that you have to find, because you're never going to enjoy and work as hard as you can at what you want to do if it's not what you want to do. All these people who are like, oh, hey, I found out that being an accountant is going to make me the most amount of money for the amount of college years I want to put in. Yeah, okay, maybe that'll work out for them.
Yeah.
But if they don't love it, they're not going to work their hardest at it unless they just like love money so much that somehow it forces them to work their hardest at it. But for me, the only reason that I used to spend hours a day minimum creating videos and content and working on stuff was because it was an investment in my future. It was my path to success and doing what I love every day. And now I get to do that. I get to play drums all the time, and I get to perform all over the place. And it's all because I love what I do. I wouldn't have made it here if I didn't love what I do. If I didn't have fun doing what I do, I would totally have just given up on it, because it's not an easy road, but it's a road worth taking if you love what you do. And that's how you know if you are who you are, if it's what you love to do. Like, you may play drums very similar to the way that I play drums, because a lot of people play drums like me. I didn't develop the craft, you know.
Right.
Some of my favorite drummers, Chad Smith. Like Chad Smith is like my favorite example of this, because he just jams out and has fun back there. He's got a lot of showmanship to it. He's got a lot of passion to it. And when I watch him play, I see a lot of the same things in my playing that are in his. That doesn't mean that I'm trying to be Chad Smith. I have my own flavor of what I do. It's just that Chad Smith is someone that inspired me, and I play drums in a way that's kind of similar to him. It's definitely not the same, and he is by far much just more awesome drummer than I am, and I'm still working to get to that level. But he is just a good example of the fact that, yeah, some of the things I do look like him, but I'm not him, and I'm not trying to be him. I'm still me. I just love what he does, and I love the passion and the entertainment and the fun that he has behind what he does.
I love how you framed the answer to that question, where it's like you said, if I had asked that same question, let's say to some random university professor, someone in the know per se of education, I guarantee you that 90% of them would answer me back with a question, with an answer question. So they go, well, that depends. How do you define success? What does it mean to be happy? You know, they'll try to overcomplicate this thing, which is actually so damn simple, like you said. And it's that being yourself is it's what the word says. It's being yourself. It's doing what you want to do at the moment. That being said, unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm always constantly struggling with this philosophical dilemma where, yeah, you got to do what you want to do, and at the same time, there's a hell of a lot of times where, at least I personally, and it sounds like you have too, especially in the past, is done things you don't want to do because you know you should do them anyways. And it's almost like a balance, I find, that you have to find in between there.
Well, one of the things that I would definitely like to tell people in regards to what we're talking about here is that YouTube is not an investment in your wallet right now. And if you think that's what you're doing, you need to go shut down your YouTube account and go get a job in accounting, because you're not going to get rich on YouTube next month. I mean, I'm not rich on YouTube by no means. In fact, YouTube is a very small portion of the revenue that I make each year. YouTube, because of what I do. Now, if you do something other than drum covers of popular songs, you can definitely make a decent living, if not a great living, off of YouTube. But if you're a musician covering copyrighted material like I do, I'm not going to make a ton of money. If I was getting paid for the over 6 million views a month that I get, I would be making around 10 grand in ad revenue. That would be great. I could definitely live off of 10 grand real easy. But because of the copyrighted material and what I do, it's not an investment in my wallet now. I mean, I still make, I'm not going to really say exactly what I make, but I still make like a decent amount for YouTube in terms of like drumming. I'm probably one of the higher salaries off of drumming on YouTube just because I get a lot of views, but I can only monetize the videos that I own all of the content for. If you're a gamer, if you're a vlogger and you're making 6 million hits a month, you may make 5 to 10 grand ad revenue. But what I tell people is that this kind of thing is not an investment in your wallet now. It's an investment in your future. I've been doing this for 4 years, and now I support myself playing drums. 4 years ago, I did not support myself playing drums. 4 years ago, I worked a job, and I was in college, and I did all of this outside of drumming, and drumming was just what I loved. And there were times where I worked 80 plus hours a week at Turner Field for the Atlanta Braves one week, and then the next week I would spend the entire week sun up to sundown creating videos to post on YouTube. And so it was those things where it's all an investment in the future, and that's what you have to look at it as, because you're going to be real disappointed if you try and like start something and it's not, and you want to live off of it. Right? Like you can't. Like I don't know a good way to live off of YouTube within the first couple of months. Like you have to have a serious amount of subscribers and a good amount of views in order to pull in enough income to do anything with.
I agree, and I think if you're approaching the YouTube channel in this example, if you're approaching with the mindset of, I am doing this because I want to make money, because I want to be famous, because I want to blah, 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 all the typical things that first world people want, I can almost guarantee you're probably setting yourself up for failure. It seems to me with every guest we've had on this podcast so far, I think you're the 14th or 15th, it seems to me that the common theme in each of these amazing individuals reaching success has been that they went after their goals without the idea of money necessarily being their prime target. Money is important, no doubt about it. I'm sure that, like you said, if you could live off the ad revenues, you would. But you were realistic in knowing that, maybe I'm wrong here, feel free to correct me, but for what the vibe I get from you is that when you started your drumming channel, the idea of it blowing up to even the 10,000 subscribers you had in 8 months, I don't think you necessarily went in expecting that. You may have wanted it to happen, but I feel like deep down you just loved to put the content out there. Like that's what you actually wanted to do, money aside. Am I right?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, of course, I desired to have a YouTube channel with a lot of viewers and have that success on there, because my goal for YouTube was to get myself out there and open opportunities for myself as a drummer. But I did not approach it with the idea that this was my like end all be all. This is where my money's coming from. This is like my career. I approached it as, this is my opportunity to show people what I do and how I do it. And I'll have videos to share with like potential bands. I might get a band interested in me through YouTube. Like YouTube was not the end goal, but it was like a desire. Like I was like, hey, I want to have one of the most popular YouTube drumming channels, but it was only because I love doing what I love doing. And it started out with a lot of selfish kind of like reasoning behind it. Like I want to get myself out there. I want to show people what I can do. But then as soon as I started doing it, and this is another huge reason why I have had the success I have, is because I realized it's not about me at all anymore. It's about my viewers. It's about what I can do for them. It's about the educational opportunities I can provide them. It's about the inspiration I can provide them. It's about me being a role model, someone to look up to, someone to enjoy and learn from. And the amount of like messages and comments and people telling me like, hey, I hadn't played drums in 3 years, and then I watched one of your videos and it made me get my drum set back out. Like, who cares about me anymore? Did you hear what that guy just said? Like, yeah. I inspired someone to play drums. One of the craziest stories I have ever gotten from someone was that they have a daughter who suffers from like some sort of mental disorder or something, and she's just like, her life is not enjoyable. She's in pain a lot. And they told me that the only time they ever see their daughter smile is at night when she's watching my videos.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't have to make a dime from this for the rest of my life, but I have to keep doing this, because if it's affecting people and if it's helping people and if it's like it doesn't even have to deal with drums. There's times where people are like, man, I saw that video where you were saying that you got to work hard for what you believe in and what you want. And I studied my butt off for the latest test, and I got an A. I haven't gotten an A this year. Like, someone told me they passed their test. They got an A on their test because of a video of mine. Like, that desire to do those things for other people and to for other people's advantage is something that has helped make it more popular, because people don't come to my channel and think, man, I mean, some people do. For the most part, people don't come to my channel and think, man, this guy only cares about it. This guy is just like, he thinks he's the coolest dude on the planet, and he's like, he thinks he's way better than everyone. Like, I mean, there are people who, because they want to think that that's the way that I think. But most people realize that I'm just a guy who loves to play the drums, and I enjoy entertaining people, hopefully inspiring people to do what they want to do.
That I
Is
have
that?
the sorry, you're cutting out again. Did you say something at the end there?
Oh, no. I was just saying my end goal there.
Yeah, okay. I think we got all that. The quality did get a little fuzzy on your end, but I just wanted to say I have the utmost respect for people like you who choose to pursue something. Like you said, maybe it started off with a little bit of a selfish desire, and that we're only human in the end, and unfortunately, if you're North American, you're probably damn well aware that our horrible school system teaches us to approach life in that selfish way. They teach you to go to college, study accounting, because, like you said, that's going to be the least amount of college hours to get the most amount of money I want. It's all me, I, and we need to go back to the lessons they taught us in kindergarten. Sharing is caring. There's some real universal truths to that, and I love seeing time and time again, like I said before, with every guest we've had on the podcast, these reoccurring themes of, again, going back to the lessons we're taught in kindergarten, the cliches that people roll their eyes at. Always remember that things became cliches for a reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, thank you for once again continuously proving that point. Um, Casey, I don't know where else to take this other than ask you a question I love asking every guest on this podcast. Is I'd like to know, when did it all click? So it's 2011, you're putting videos out there, you hit that 8-month mark at 10,000 viewers. To you, was that, oh my God, it's working, whatever I'm doing is working? Or was it after week one that you already noticed it's working? When did you finally go, this is it, this is what I'm going to do, I love this?
Well, I loved it the whole time, but the day that it clicked for me was, I want to say, early February of 2012. I put up a video, still one of my most viewed today. It's Skrillex, Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites, and I played that song arranged on marimba, vibraphone, cajon, and bass guitar. So I had never heard of anyone playing dubstep on melodic percussion, and I was just trying to do something creative. And so me and a friend of mine, actually two friends of mine, we wrote it on melodic percussion, and we put it up, we recorded it, and it was like, we thought it was really cool. It definitely wasn't perfect. It was like midnight by the time we got a take that we kind of liked, and we all had to be up early the next morning, so there were a few mistakes in there, but we put that up, and it became the #1 most viewed video on YouTube and on Reddit. It was the #1 post on Reddit for an entire day. Well, not on Reddit for an entire day, but on YouTube for an entire day. It was the #1 viewed video. And like, I went to class that day after we put it up, and there were people watching the video in front of me in class and had no clue that I was sitting behind them, watching them watch my video. And so it was just like, that was the day that I was like, man, I can do this for real. Like, people are just love this content. Like, I'm actually entertaining people, and I can do this. Like, I'm gonna do this. And so that was the day that I went all in. And I didn't make the smartest educational decisions after that, because I started not really taking college seriously anymore, which is okay for me now, but I don't think it was the decision at that time.
Right.
But still, like, it was just like, that was when I bought completely into it. I was like, man, I'm going to do this, and I am going to put hard into it, and I'm going to make content that people love, and hopefully I'm going to make a career out of this. And even if I don't, like, I'm not going to regret it. Like, I'm not going to regret creating stuff that people enjoy and inspiring people, but I do want to turn it into a career. And so that was the day that I just went all out after that.
Awesome.
Anyway.
Thank you for sharing that with us. I always just love hearing that sometimes it's a moment and sometimes it's a gradual build up, but I can definitely see in your case when you're coming to class and the person in front of you is watching you without them knowing that you're behind them. That would be a bit of a mind fuck to me too. Casey, I think this has been great, man. I think it's time we put an end to this. Could you tell viewers or listeners rather where they can find you on the internet?
Yeah, well, you can go to YouTube and you can search drum cover or drum or anything like that, and you'll be able to find my channel on there because it's spelt a little funny. But if you are looking for my Twitter, my social media, anything like that, it is Cooper Drummer with 3s instead of E's. COOP3RDRUMM3R. And a little bit behind that, just for, I think it is good knowledge to understand. The reason that I did that is not because I'm a 4-year-old and I like putting numbers instead of letters. It's because instead of being able to find videos of me searching for drums or drummer or anything like that when I began, no one could find me because I was a small channel and no one would have heard of me. Instead, I put that 3 in there so that people could find and understand and figure out where my videos were. And so it was like a marketing thing. And now even if you search for Cooper Drummer without 3s, you'll still find me. So
Right.
that's the concept behind that. Come up with something that's memorable and unique and represents who you are and what you are so that you are searchable. Because if you search for keywords that represent you but you aren't big yet, you're not going to be found.
Interesting. That's a nice little tidbit of knowledge to finish it all off, man. I want to thank you again for being on here, and I wish you all the best in the future, Casey.
Thank you so much, and sorry for the connection issues there. I hope that everything comes out killer, and I would love to talk more in the future if you ever want me back.
Oh, for sure, man. We're going to do round 2 sometime, I guarantee it. I'll be in contact shortly, man, and thank you again. All the best. Talk to you soon.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
That's it for today's episode. If you guys like what you heard, follow us on Twitter at _theKspot.net, search for The Knowledge Spot on Facebook or SoundCloud, or check us out at www.thekspot.net. Lastly, if you guys have any questions for me, I plan on doing my own personal Q&A sessions through YouTube, so email me at contact@thekspot.net.